Morning, everyone. I'm going to give a little rundown on this little control center I built to be able to run the motor and break in the cam. Pretty simple setup. Got the key switch out of the blazer. Got the 3 wires you need to make it run. This is the hot coming in from the battery. The purple is going to the starter solenoid, and then the pink wire runs over here to this terminal block. This will all be in the ignition on position. This will get 12 volts. You're going to send 12 volts to the tach, 12 volts to turn on the MSD box, 12 volts going out to the starter or the carburetor electric choke, and then for some reason the instructions said that if the alternator does not have a charge light on it, it needs a 50 ohm resistor. So the 12 volts goes out, comes over here, goes through the resistor, comes back to the block, and then this is the wire that goes to the exciter wire on the alternator. This is just a straight across connection, no voltage. You're getting the output from the MSD box going to the input to the tach, and this is the ground for the tach. So when you first turn this on to the ignition, you get the red light on the MSD box, and then the tach goes over to whatever you have the rev limiter set at. And as you notice, just then it went to 5500. You can turn this down to 4500, and indicates now we're set at 4500. Pretty neat little, that way you know where your rev's set at. So we'll go on to the purple wire, which runs to the starter solenoid. We have an oil pressure gauge. We have a type J thermocouple for water temperature. Goes over here, and that's where we're measuring water temperature. And then got a voltmeter hooked up just to monitor voltage. The other wires, this is going to the magnetic pickup in the distributor, and these 2 wires go to the coil on the top of the distributor. And right now I have the distributor cap removed, because it's, when you first fire up a motor, it's very critical, especially on a hydraulic flat tappet cam. You want it to start right away, no sitting there cranking trying to figure out why the hell it's not firing or anything. So what I did on the initial setup was I set the balancer, set the crank at 0 degrees top dead center, number 1 cylinder. Okay. Let me get back on this side. This mark on the front of this distributor right here indicates the number 1 position on the distributor cap. And as you can see right now, the rotor is pointed directly over that. So what I did was, once I had that set there, I moved the base of the distributor to where these 2 points, the inside on the shaft and the outside here, were lined up perfectly. So theoretically it should have fired somewhere around 0 degrees top dead center, and it did. When it fired up, it fired up right away, and we ran the motor for 20 minutes between 2,000 and 2,500 RPMs, which is what Lunati recommends. Then we increased it 500 up to 500 RPM increments up to 3,500. I held at each position for like a minute and a half, then brought it down to 1,000, let it run a little bit, and shut it off. This was on July 4th that we did this. After that, drained the oil, cut the oil filter open, inspected it, cut the paper out where we could lay it out and rinse it with carburetor cleaner. Didn't find any debris. Everything looked really good. The motor oil looked good. So yesterday, which was Wednesday the 8th, had fresh oil in the motor and started it up for the second time. And there'll be a short little video after I get done talking of that session yesterday. That was the second time that we fired the motor up. We weren't sure where we were on timing, but we knew we were pretty close. So when I first put the timing light on it, we were running at, with the vacuum advance disconnected, we were running at 1 degree before top dead center. And you can see in the video, I go around and move the distributor, and I'm trying to get somewhere around 10 degrees. First try, bam, it got it to 10 degrees. And you can hear the motor change a little bit. It's definitely happier there. So my point is, where this other mark is, down here on the intake manifold, I put a mark, and it was lined up with this mark. That's how much I had to move the distributor to get it to go from 0 or 1 degrees before top dead center to 10 degrees. So that's just a reference for anybody that's you know, wanting to get their distributor in close the first time. And with the distributor cap on here, the number 1 and number 8 positions on the rotor cap, distributor cap, which would be these two, is pretty much parallel with the firewall. So you can kind of get an idea of where a distributor would be to get it to fire right up. And to get the distributor to drop in there like that, if you take a screwdriver and line the shaft up on the oil pump with the bottom of the distributor gear, and like this screwdriver, you know, it's the blade is flat, and so it's got the name of the size of the screwdriver looking at you. If you set this at 5 and 11 o'clock, that's going to get the oil pump shaft close enough that when you drop that distributor in, it's going to be where you want it to be. And that's where we wound up with it. So that's pretty much my little mission control center here, and just a little bit on the camshaft. It's a Lunati Voodoo cam. It says hydraulic, mid-level performance street cam with excellent drivability, exceptional replacement for muscle car type cams with automatic transmissions, works well with stock type exhaust manifolds and dual plane intake with a mild 4-barrel carburetor. And we are running a 570 Street Avenger carburetor, and have it jetted at 53 in the front and 65 in the back. It goes on to say, which is what made it easy choice, this is an awesome 4x4 in performance marine cam where dry exhaust is used. Improved valve springs and roller rockers are recommended. So we did go with the Lunati valve springs, retainers, locks. We have the comp cam roller tip rockers, so they're the 1.52 ratio. And when we degreed in the cam, we had 67 on one side of the degree wheel, 150 on the other. I told it up to 217. Excuse me, my throat's a little dry. Divide that by 2 and you come up with 108.5, which the cam card here says if you line up the center line at 108, it will be 4 degrees advanced. And so that's pretty much, we were off about half a degree, which is well within my error. So that's kind of the a wrap up there. And now we'll go to the video that me and my wife Dee Dee shot yesterday. And again, this is the second time the motor was fired. When it first fires up, it's setting at 1 degree before top dead center, and when we finish up, it's at 10 degrees before top dead center. So, hope you enjoy it. So this is kind of a retake on the timing marks, or the indication marks I put on the distributor, because it did show up very well the way I was recording it. So we'll have to edit that in. This is the mark for number 1 in relation to the distributor cap. This is the mark that was originally at 0 degrees before top dead center, and this was lined up with that. That's how far we did move it in a counterclockwise direction, advancing the distributor to where we wound up with 10 degrees. And then what I was talking about on the, let's see if we can get in here, the magnetic pointer or pickups. You can see that they're pretty close to lined up in there, and that's where we had them set when we went to get it at 0 for the initial fire.
shut it off and restart it, see how it starts.
Okay.
Sounds really good.